Hey guys, it's Kim from Honey Trail Farm. I'm in the kitchen this afternoon and I am trying to pick up the camera more, okay? I've gotten out of the habit since winter time, but now spring is in full swing. There's plenty to film, so I'm just gonna be shooting like more vlog styled videos with a little information in between. Today I'm in the kitchen. It's the afternoon time. Evening times are crazy around here because we've gotten kids are coming home from school. We have evening chores, we have to milk. The evening time is the only time that if I have a job that I have to do that requires my husband, evening is the only time that he's here to help. So dinner time is crazy. So what I like to do on days like this is I try to make sure that I have dinner prepped ahead of time. Now I'm not one of those like meal prepper, we can't eat the same thing every day. I also don't spend the time, I could, but I don't spend the time to like freeze meals ahead of time. That's just not how my brain works, but I can, however, get dinner ready whenever I have time during the day, which is right now. So I'm gonna get some loaves of bread started and chop up all the vegetables that I need for chicken noodle soup, because we had a chicken yesterday and that usually lasts us at least 2 if not 3 meals. So we'll eat the chicken you know, in its pure form the first day. The second day I'll make some kind of casserole, soup, chop it up and put it on a salad, something along those lines. And I thought chicken noodle soup sounded good today because I've nailed down a recipe. Don't ask me for it. I am awful. I don't measure anything. I just do it to how I feel. And so it never turns out the same every time, which is kind of a problem. Because if it was really good one time, I can't repeat it. But hey, that's just how I live. We eat relatively healthy here because we grow a lot of our own food. So we grow all of our own meat, and in the summertime, all of our own veggies. And then in the winter and spring, when there's nothing really growing, we rely on the pantry, but I also buy like a few things in. One of my guilty things was buying convenience food for the kids, like little snacks, like pretzels and goldfish, nothing like crazy. Like I don't buy like Doritos or Cheetos or stuff like that. But I've been really trying to cancel out all convenience foods. I know my kids will gripe, and they do, but they'll get over it and they'll get used to it. One way that I try to eliminate that, all those convenience foods, is being prepared, because the problem is when it's 5 o'clock and you haven't started dinner, you haven't even thought about dinner, then everyone's hungry and whining, and then you grab the box of something that's fast. So cooking from scratch does take longer, but I mean, it's your health you're talking about. The whole point of eating is to like live, like sustain yourself. So I don't know why we don't eat better, but I could get on that soapbox. I am refilling my flour. I just keep it in this big tub on the counter, and I buy all my flour in bulk. I would really like to start to buy wheat berries and grind my own flour, but as of right now I don't have a grinder, so this will have to do. I get my flour, my bulk items really, from our local Amish community, but if you didn't have that, I know that like places like Azure Standard, you could order flour in bulk. I am so messy. Normally, guys, it's husbands that are messy, you know, all the memes out there. That's me. That's me leaving the cabinet open. That's me leaving stuff all over the table. That's me. It's one of my faults, okay? But I make up for it in brilliant ideas, I think. I've been doing sourdough loaves, not the artisanal, like not the crusty bread, which I love. But what's good for sandwiches is just like the sliced bread. I've been doing that, but you guys, this is the time of the year where my sourdough dies, okay? She doesn't all the way die, but like I refreshed it 2 days ago and then I forgot about it, so it's sad in here. So I'm just gonna do regular yeast bread today. Hey Hunter, look what I found in the Why was this in my mixer?
Well, it does have candy in it.
Yeah, it does have candy in it. Leftover Easter. I try to make all my family's baked goods. All the bread, all the everything. Because bread should have like at most 5 ingredients, okay? And then when you turn over the back of a bread bag, even if it's the fresh bread from the store, they're putting preservatives in it. Because when I make bread from scratch, it lasts maybe 4 days. Like, there's no reason why bread from the store needs to last a month or more. That's scary, guys. That freaks me out. That's not normal. So I've been making all my family's bread for quite some time. Now, here and there, I have caved on a bad day and bought store bread. I'm not gonna lie. But 99.9% of the time, I'm making it. You just have to make the time and you'll get the hang of it. My cooking from scratch journey did not start when I got the farm. It started when I was dreaming about starting a farm. So I would research everything I possibly could. I learned how to cook from scratch. I learned how to make sourdough. I learned how to make ghee from butter. I learned all of these skills that I could use then. No, it wasn't the butter from my own cow at that point. It wasn't, you know, vegetables from my own garden, but it was worthwhile because I was learning. And now that I need to do these things and I don't have the time that I used to have to spend, to research, to learn, to practice, I already have these skills and I have the knowledge, and now it's really easy and I don't even have to think about it. So if you're in that place of dreaming, learn how to cook. Learn how to use real ingredients, ditch the boxes, ditch the frozen aisle, unless it's frozen fruits or vegetables, those are okay. And learn how to cook from scratch. Most Fridays we have pizza night and I make the pizza myself. I make the mozzarella if I have the time. One of our household's favorite snacks that's really easy and not processed is popcorn. So go buy you a bag of organic popcorn from the store. I found an air popper at Goodwill, and my kids eat that like literally 5 days of the week. If they're looking for something salty, crunchy, snacky, we make popcorn. Instead of pretzels, instead of chips, I get those cravings too, I get it, but popcorn fulfills that need for me, and I know that it's good for my kids and it's good for me. So one of the ways that I use this lard, look how much we've used in just a couple days since I made this, is in any recipe that calls for oil. So a lot of times bread recipes call for oil in the recipe. I always use lard instead. And I find that my bread comes out really soft with the lard that way. How I do this, because a lot of people's excuse is they don't have time to do this. Well, you have the time. It's just you have to think about it ahead of time, because yeah, if it's dinner time or lunchtime and you're wanting a sandwich and you don't have any bread, it's too late to make your loaf of bread. But like this recipe calls for 2 loaves, and so in my family we go through 2 loaves in under a week, with the amount of sandwiches that my kids consume, or bread and butter or toast or French toast, whatever we're gonna turn it into for the day. We go through it, but you could also slice it. Once it's cooled, you slice it and then you put it in the freezer, in like a freezer bag, and then you just pop out however many slices that you need. And that way it's convenient for you. So food from scratch can still be convenience foods. You just have to think about it ahead of time. I cannot live without the alarm on my phone. I would forget my head if it wasn't attached to my body. I'm telling you. So I will mix this dough. I'll knead it for about 5 to 10 minutes, however long it's going to take to come together. Then I'm free for an hour because it's got to rise for an hour. So I'll set an alarm on my phone, go about my day, do whatever I need to do. I'll come back in when my timer goes off. I'll punch the bread down. At that point, you divide your dough into 2 and you shape them into loaves, and then it's got to rise for another hour. So set a timer on my phone, walk away, go do some more of what I need to do. My timer goes off. I come back in. I never preheat my oven. That's a little trick for the trade with bread. It always says preheat, never do. So this recipe, I bake 40 minutes at 350, so I will put the bread in, turn the oven on at 350, set another timer on my phone for 40 minutes, go do something for 40 minutes, come back in, and then my bread will be done. So while my bread is kneading in the corner, I'm going to tell you this story that we got today from someone that we shared our milk with someone. He had asked some questions about the difference between raw milk and pasteurized, because he in the last few years had been having a lot of gut problems whenever he drank milk. He used to love drinking milk, but then he had to switch, and he really had to turn everything that he drank or ate with milk in it into an almond milk, and he did not want to do that. And so we gave him a half gallon of milk and wanted to hear back, because I've always heard that so the reason why a lot of people can't digest milk and now are lactose intolerant, it's not because we haven't been drinking milk for the last however long we've, you know, owned cows. It's not the people that are changing, it's the milk that is changing. So in raw milk, the lactose in the milk is paired with an enzyme, and that enzyme is designed to break down the lactose, because your body naturally has a harder time breaking down the lactose. But when you pasteurize milk, it kills the enzyme that breaks down the lactose, and now all you're left with is the lactose, which is harder for your body to digest, which is why everybody is having these lactose intolerances and having to switch to plant-based milk. We gave our milk to someone who had those severe lactose intolerance. He would like vomit, for lack of a better word, whenever he drank regular milk. And so we gave it to him, and he tried it and kept it down, and it didn't hurt his stomach at all. So that's like proof to me. I've always read these things that it's to be true, but I've never had a dairy problem, so I've never seen it firsthand. But that is really cool. It's really cool. And it just, I guess today's theme is eating the way that things were meant to be grown. So these days our food is really different from how we ate 100 years ago. And I guess what I'm trying to do is just eat like we used to, you know? I just want to eat real food. Real food, not bioengineered, not grown in a lab. I just want to feed my family actual food. I come here to share honesty, okay? I try to be transparent on this channel, and I was on my soapbox earlier about you just have to make the time for convenience foods to be convenient. And so I was making this bread, and I was talking about setting a timer, going out and doing what you need to do, come in when the timer goes off. Well, I had to run to the dollar store because my child was begging me, because she's earned some money doing chores and she wanted to buy a movie. So we went to the dollar store, and while I was there, my timer for my bread went off. And I was like, okay, as soon as I get home, I'm going to take care of that. Well, while I was at said store, I get a phone call from my compost guy saying that he's here. And I forgot that he said he was coming at 4. And so I rushed back to get here for the compost guy. And we spent an hour or more chatting, as one does, about farming and compost and all the things I like to talk about. So we were out there a while, and I overproofed my bread, okay? It was about to spill over the side. You could see where I punched it, but do you see on the side where you see all these stringy parts? Basically, I could still bake this, and I'm going to still bake this, but I'm going to tell you what I changed, okay? So this is about working with what you got. So if you mess your bread up, it's fine. It might not still be sandwich bread, but you can turn it into something else. And something that I've been wanting to try to bake, but I've never done it, is focaccia bread, which is basically overproofed bread. So you know what, you guys? When life hands you overproofed lemons, you just turn it into focaccia. So I'm gonna look up a focaccia recipe and get off my soapbox about being on time, because obviously the time got away from me today. But I just wanted to record this part because, you know, life is like that. It be like that sometimes, you know? You just gotta roll with flow, okay? So we're not gonna have sandwich, but we'll have really delicious garlicky focaccia bread instead. So I think that this is honestly kind of funny, given the subject I was talking about, but I can use this as a lesson to all of you, especially when you start cooking from scratch. Maybe sometimes you don't have every single ingredient in the recipe. You're just gonna have to wing it sometimes. Maybe that's the lesson here. Sometimes you just gotta wing it, because so another way that I'm just going to wing this recipe is I have this jar that I saved from the summer. Something that I really like to do with my cherry tomatoes in the summer, especially when you're getting a million and you can't eat them all, is I slice them in half and I dehydrate them until they're like fruit leather-ish. And then I will put it in a mason jar like this, stack them all up. This jar I have basil in too, you can kind of see. The dark parts are basil. And then I will cover the whole thing with olive oil, and I just put it in my dark cabinet. The olive oil in here is kind of infused with tomato basil, so it's a flavored olive oil. And then I put these on my pizza. It's so good. So I think that's what I'm going to do with this bread, is I'm going to drizzle this tomato basil olive oil on top with some tomatoes, maybe some Parmesan cheese and some flaky salt, and it's going to be delicious. I have kind of dimpled it with my fingers like this because I see people do that. Oh, my hair's in it. That's nice. I see people do this with focaccia bread. I don't really know if I'm doing it right, but I'm going to dimple it. Then I'm going to take my olive oil and kind of drizzle. Yeah, that's fine. So every year I dry tons of basil, and I do all different kinds of basil, and I just mix them all together in this cute old jar. Anybody else love jars? I love jars. And I just take it, whatever I want to put basil in, and I just kind of crunch it. I need one of those fancy herb cutters. Mortar and pestle? I don't know. And I'm just gonna, oh my gosh, if you could smell this. Basil you get from the store is not the same as basil you grew and you cut and you dried. It might just be that I appreciate it more. Oh, but it smells delicious. Okay, I'm just gonna sprinkle as much as you want. I love basil, so I'm gonna do a lot. I have 2 canisters of salt. I have chunky salt that I'm almost out of. I have like a thick salt, and then I also have this canister is Redmond salt. Those are my 2 salts of choice. I think this one is Celtic sea salt, I think, is this chunky one, but I think that's gonna be delicious on top. I didn't know today was going to turn into a cooking video, but here we are. Okay, so you notice that I'm not measuring anything. I'm doing it to eye, which I get if you are in the beginning phases. That seems terrifying, okay? But you'll get the hang of it and you won't measure anything anymore. You'll just dump a little. And then to top it off, Parmesan, because nothing is complete without cheese, am I right? I also buy bulk herbs. So I need to get around to dehydrating. I have probably 300 heads of garlic hanging in my pantry that I have yet to dehydrate and turn into garlic powder, like I said. But here are the herbs, in case you care, that I always buy in bulk. I buy garlic in bulk, garlic salt in bulk, Italian seasoning in bulk, because I don't grow all the Italian herbs, to blend my own, paprika in bulk, which I plan on doing this year. Dill in bulk because I did not grow enough and dry it. Parsley because I make my own ranch, and dill and parsley are major components. Now I'm gonna put my focaccia, not sandwich bread, in the oven. Them things swelled up like grapes now, didn't they? I pressed them puppies in. So, this right here is honestly better than any sandwich bread I could have made. Was it an accident? Yes. Will I still have to make bread again tomorrow? Also yes. But is this worth it? Yes. But thank you guys for watching this random video today. Until next time.